So we'll start June's garden tour off with my container little station here. As you saw in my last update, or my last tour, this hydrangea has grown quite a bit in the last month. And then here I have a bunch of Cracker Jack marigolds, which I'm not quite sure what to do with. And this one's about to bloom, so that's going to be nice. So I'm just waiting for a home for these, or I might just compost them if I don't have a spot for them in my garden. And then I have my Bloomables rose. It did suffer some transplant shock, but it's got one little bloom that's just starting to die off of it, but it should start putting on some new green growth. So I am looking forward to hopefully see this bloom a second time this year. And then we have the main star of the show. We can start off by looking at these tomatoes. This is my Super Sweet 100 tomato. I'm keeping them in tomato cages and all, but look at that flower cluster. Look at how big and nice that flower cluster is and all that fruit that we're gonna get. So that's going to be exciting to see. And same with this Bonnie Best tomato. We have a giant flower cluster kind of right there. You can see all the buds. And these two are my healthiest tomatoes, and you'll see in a minute my other tomatoes, they don't look quite as good. But we can continue moving on. I have some French marigolds in the corners. One right there and one right there. I really like this one because of its color. It starts a deep mahogany red and it ages to this like orange. And then we have our peppers. This is the only transplant that I bought this year, and look at that, we have our first jalapeno, or this is a Cubanelle pepper flowers. But we can even look over here on this jalapeno and we can see that it is starting to bud as well. This is an overwintered jalapeno. I put some sweet alyssum plants. As you can see, this one is blooming. I will provide another update on my main patch in a separate video. And then we have a shishito, which has really put on a lot of growth in the past, I'd say 2 weeks. It has exploded with growth. And then we have what looks to be an orange Cracker Jack marigold. I don't know if they're going to be yellow or orange, so this one looks like it's going to be orange. And then in that corner right there, I have another Cracker Jack marigold. Right here, I have a zucchini that's growing. I actually planted it quite late, so I'm glad it is growing as well as it has been. And then I have a couple of bush-style cucumbers. As you can see, this is looking really nice. I believe we got some buds and whatnot going on in here. Yeah, see, we have a nice bud right there. It's amazing to see. These are a little bit slower growing. So these are my Minnesota midget melons. And in the back there where all the mulch is, I just are a couple of wasabi radishes, those little green things poking up. And of course we have this row of snap peas here in the middle, and they're getting ready to bloom. As you can see right there, they're starting to get ready to bloom. And then we have a Chardonnay melon, which I need to continue to string up because it grows super fast, which is amazing. And then the tendrils, of course. We got 2 of them in here. I might have to thin this out to 1 because they're growing so good. And then we can move on to my bush steak. This has had some disease. I accidentally, the pot accidentally was waterlogged because the drainage holes got blocked. So that's a key tip for you guys, is to make sure your drainage holes are well open. But this one is blooming. We have a wonderful flower cluster right there. There's still some suckers growing out. This is a determinant. You want to leave all the suckers if possible. And then we have my Sun Gold Select tomato, which has some sort of curling and deformities. If you would like, if you know what this is, let me know down in the comments below. But this one is still fruiting and flowering. This one is my furthest along. As we can see, look at the flower clusters, probably 50 flowers on that maybe. But we can even go up and there's still flower clusters forming. So I already ruled out this isn't a gray zone issue because I use the same soil for all 4 of my tomatoes and all of that, and really nothing is different between them. So we can continue and move on in the garden. These here look pretty sad because they're done blooming, but you're not supposed to cut them back until all the leaves turn yellow, or else you won't get blooms next year. But we have daffodils, tulips, all the way down, and then I planted some 5-spot. The slugs got to them initially, but I put some insect dust down, and that seemed to deter them pretty good. So we can just see that the whole row. See, like this, I can cut this back now because this is basically doing no photosynthesis. I can simply cut that back. But see, all these other ones that are green still, you're supposed to leave them be until they turn dark, dead. And then as you can see here, this is another French marigold, and you can really see the example here. It turns from this deep dark red to this reddy orange to this orange, almost to a yellow, which is amazing. And then we have my pink and white geranium. I really like that color. It's quite an amazing color. We have a white colored mum, and hidden in the back are some hardy fuchsias that I took some cuttings of. I'm not sure if this one's gonna survive, but we'll see. We got some black mama grass, and then we have a blue fescue, which is doing amazing. We have these nice seed stalks coming up, and it has put on a lot of wonderful growth. Then we have some Asiatic lilies. It looks like we're gonna get 2 buds out of that, and 3 buds out of that, and that one was just a baby. And moving on to hanging basket number 1, we have some begonias, and 2 of them are doing wonderfully. The other 2 are a little bit further behind. And then we have a petunia, which I just stuck in there that I grew from seed. And moving on to the second hanging basket, we got a wonderful batch of sweet alyssum here, which is just wonderful. If you could smell this, it would smell amazing. And then hidden in here, we got some petunias. I don't know where these came from. I thought this was alyssum, so we'll see what this ends up being. But we do have some more petunias that I actually know I planted in there. And then we can move on. We have a poppy that I planted since my last time, and some coral coral heuchera, coral bells. Some more Asiatic lilies. Looks like only that one's gonna bloom right now. Some dragon's tongue sedum, and my chocolate mint, which looks like I need a water, but this thing always bounces back. It can go crispy, and it could still bounce back. And then we have the star of what's gonna be the star of my show back here. Look at all these wonderful red buds, well, they're green now, but they'll turn red. Look at how many flowers and buds are on these. It's just amazing. Then we have the same pink and white geranium. And then we have kind of like my berry patch, my raspberry shortcake. Then we got a blue crop blueberry and a red lake currant. And I've been dealing with some aphid issues, so I might do a video on that. And then we have a blooming Tiny Tim tomato and some variegated celosia. As you can see, the variegation is already starting to come out, and hopefully that will be a really nice plant. Then we have a blue spruce juniper, as you saw in my last garden tour. And we can see I have a sunflower growing there, a couple daylilies. That's just kind of like my mess area, so don't mind that at all. Then right here, we have some more. Well, I thought this was alyssum, but apparently it's petunia. We'll see what that is. And then a nice Japanese maple tree that has this compact leaf habit. So in our super hot summers, this will help against sunburn, and it's already grown, I'd say about 6 inches in the last month. So that's amazing to see for Japanese maple. Then we have a volunteer sunflower. I don't have the heart to, kill it. And then moving on, we have a little yarrow plant. That looks like it's getting eaten by something as well, so I'll have to put some stuff on that as well. Some insect powder. And then we have our row of barberry, boxwood, barberry, bachelor's button, which is still blooming, and the bees are still liking it. So I'm not going to cut it back until it is fully done blooming. Another boxwood that needs trimmed. Then we have a nice daylily, which looks extremely nice when it blooms, so I'll have to definitely show you that. Then we have an echinacea. It doesn't quite show up on camera, but this really isn't an orange. This is more of a, I'd say, a salmon color. And then another same with the daylily, the lilac. And to finish it off, we have our last iris bud. We'll get a good picture of that. It's our last one of the season, because all the others have died back. As you can see, I need to cut this back and divide this plant out. Here we have the geranium and bugleweed. And moving on, we have the Canada lily in the back there, which is starting to grow in really, really good. And then we have 2 calabriocas on each side, and a petunia right smack in the middle. This basket looks amazing, as you can see as I back out. Then we have a bunch of sweet alyssum and a regal geranium in the back. You can see how wonderful that sweet alyssum really looks. And then to top things off, my poppies are about to bloom. I will definitely show you pictures or video when those start to bloom. And a marigold right in the center. And the allium, the purple alliums did die back. You can see the yellow leaves. And then we have some Asiatic lilies in the back, 4 of them, and it looks like that one right there is going to bloom and it's going to be a yellow color. And finally we have this wonderful coral bark Japanese maple. It looks magnificent, it's growing in well. And that is really the conclusion of my garden tour. So I hope you enjoyed and got something out of it. Take some inspiration for yourself. And until I see you in the next video, get on growing.